be screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of, What If Ichigo Enters D. Gray Man? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Shadow BR2 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Back on the empty street of the now destroyed section of the district, stood groups from their respective sides staring at the new face who revealed itself as Yoriichi. Che! Another enemy, muttered Kanda annoyed. What the, who, spoke Alan confused along with the others wondering about her. Looks like I've missed a lot of things didn't I, she mentioned, observing the remains of the slums around. What you're doing in this dirty place, asked Sui Feng, who strangely adopted a shyly behavior. To be short, I had to say I'm doing Kisuke a favor. Huh? What do you mean? But ignoring her question, Yoriichi jumped down and approached Lina Lee, who took stance uneasy. She kept staring at her, looking at many places but more importantly, the boot-like zanpakuto she wielded, then came to a conclusion. Just like he said, otherworldly shinigamis. Why Yoriichi-sama? Shihoin Yoriichi. Called Byakuya somewhat unpleased by her appearance, for what you have come here. What's with your attitude, Byakuya? Didn't I already tell that came here for a favor, she mocked him. It doesn't matter, in this case, begone. You're interfering. Oh. So, Captain Commander's orders don't matter anymore. What? How should I explain this? Last month, the 12th Division tracked a completely unknown disturbance on the Dangai, parsing world. The Kuryu, resting flow, was strangely releasing unknown amount of energy for no reason at all. The investigations done there managed to discover and extract an relic of gigantic proportions resembling a cube. Whatever it is, right now it's isolated and safe over in specialized laboratory for deep analysis. She revealed, startling them, except for him of course. An cube? Thought Alan, still confused. You, how did you know this? Demanded Byakuya. Really, you shouldn't underestimate my sources. Anyway, a few days ago, the same disturbance began to surge again to interfere with the flow of time and space. While the source of the problem is unknown, the balance between the dimensions between the worlds began to set off. With that said, I think it's very easy to guess why in this very day, a group of Ryokas decide to appear in such convenient place. As the unknown woman explained, Alan and the others began to remember what happened with On Arc, and how they got in this place. The resemblance is familiar. So that's why we're trapped here, asked Alan to her. Exactly. Why? I don't know, usually Kisuke is the one who knows that stuff, she answered, slightly disappointing him. In the end, nothing of this matter now, announced Byakuya, getting ready to strike again. Anyone who disturbs Soul Society, regardless of who or what they are, will be cut down, and those words made the Kanda and Lina Lee to be in stance. But why? We not disturbing anyone, yelled Alan, angry with their overzealous behavior. Stop, Byakuya. That man wouldn't simply send me here for nothing, she ordered, stepping aside. Byakuya was somewhat confused about his orders. Just what the Captain Commander is thinking. Unable to answer, he eventually backs off, but remained in guard case the Ryokas don't behave. What are you implying? He demanded. Yoriichi then, staring at Alan, began to speak. Before all this happened, Kisuke told me a certain story. He was one of the few scientists to ever enter contact with interdimensional worlds. As far as I know, Soul Society possess little record logs about the subject. In those worlds, all the laws, orders and nature are different yet similar to our own. even the organizations that supposedly deals with balance of such things can be completely strange and diversified. Looking at you and your friends, I can say that in your world, you guys are Shinigami like us, she revealed, making everyone to wonder in curiosity. Us, Shinigami? Certainly, their weapons are somewhat different for a Zanpakuto, but the feeling is the same, mentioned Sui Feng, comparing a few things. See? What about you? Just how similar our weapons are to you, asked Yoriichi, pointing at Sui Feng's gauntlet. As Alan thought about it, things were slowly getting clearer. Those Zanpakuto, right? It is indeed similar. To us, they actually are called innocents, and in our world only a few accommodators are actually capable to wield their power. A person who use those powers for greater sake are actually called exorcists, he explained. Then, as both sides began to ease, Yoriichi approached Alan with a serious face. I see, well, it's simple. Let's make a deal. Right now, we Shinigami are dealing with dangerous situation, and I believe that with your help, we can put an end to our problems just fine. In exchange, we will provide all the help required to bring you back to the world you know. So? What you dash? And who gave you authority to even suggest such deal? Intervened Byakuya. The captain commander would never allow such nonsense like this. Hearing that, Alan and the others, especially Kanda, felt really annoyed with his nature. Unknown to them, however, Byakuya always has been loyal to Soul Society. He just wanted to peace back, and for that, he would unquestionably obey every order he was given, for no feelings involved. In response to that, Yoriichi brought up a letter from her pocket. Certainly, it seems ridiculous for someone like him to request assistance like that. However, whatever Kasuke was thinking, somehow it managed to convince him out. You really will help us? Asked Alan. Hearing such news brought some hope. This is a huge opportunity to end this ruckus before things could get any worse. Well, I can't say anything, it's up to you to decide. And then, looking to his fellow comrades, it was pretty clear what they chose to do so. Let's do it, Alan-kun, began Lena Lee. Hell, we don't have much of a choice, so I agree, followed Rikiai. Shifu, Rufa, and Johnny also nodded in agreement. Kanda wasn't really that satisfied. He still doesn't trust the Shinigami yet, but considering the odds, he agreed anyway. I will make this clear, I don't trust any of you. If anything goes wrong, expect the worst, he threatened, disabling his weapon. The other three just gave some stern gazes, apparently they already expected such kind of reaction. So? We all agree with it. No objections then, she asked, receiving a positive nod, before confronting the captains. What about you? Well, normally I would certainly object and suspect at first, but if Yoriichi-sama says, then I'm fine, agreed Sui Feng. Neither Alan nor Lena Lee couldn't understand why she was behaving like a shy girl like that. The person they fought against was someone completely different than that. Do whatever you wish. With no other choice in hand, Byakuya calmly sheathed back his katana and agreed with no more complaints. Then it's decided. With that, it was over. After all that, the evening of that day had just begun. Several hours later on Siriidii. Yoriichi and captains escorted Alan and his company to Siriidii, the core of Soul Society. Due Alan's troublesome condition, they only arrived by night, crossing countless districts. Whoever is the one they were supposed to meet that day had to wait until tomorrow. In time, the group found themselves before the edge of the first district of Rukongai and the entrance of their destination. Whoa! It's huge, marveled Rikiai and Shifu at the majestic huge walls which surround the area beyond. At the presence of the captains, the towering gate opened itself and everyone was greeted by countless squads of other minor Shinigami, who began to direct and coordinate them to their designed places. From there, Alan and the others received extremely good host services. Their wounds were treated, they were given all the food and drinks it was asked, and nothing particularly suspicious happened. After so much time, they were designed to stay at the 4th Division barracks for the night. Alone, the group finally could reunite together and chat among themselves about what happened. Hell, there's a lot of things they wanted to talk. Now I'm satisfied, commented Johnny relieved after a great dinner. Yeah, this place is amazing, said Rukia. I have to agree on that, the architecture of this place seems a bit old-fashioned though, mentioned Shifu in thought. What you mean? Have you not seen it? It like an ancient Japan castle, if I remember correctly, it is from the Edo period. Is that so? And as they spoke together, Alan entered the room along with the others and slowly took a seat. Oh. Walker-san, are you okay? Can you move? Asked Rufa concerned. It's okay, I'm fine. They said that my Reiki, spiritual energy, thing entered in conflict and began to disrupt my nerves on the body. Nothing to worry about though, a single night of sleep and I'll be fine, he answered with a smile. Thank goodness. Anyway, it's a good things turned this way. I don't know what we would do, if she didn't appear that time, he spoke mentioning Yoriichi. Yeah, we would probably be forced to defeat them and then. Added Lena Lee saddening the atmosphere, but Rufa thought quickly and intervened. Hey, let's forget that for now, everything is over already. You are the reason of this mess, Moyasher, announced Kanda leaning beside the side door. It's Alan, but Kanda, he quickly retorted, TSK, you didn't change at all have you? Humph. Anyway, I've been waiting to ask you. What is it? That time, when you were facing that woman, what happened? Asked Kanda referring to the moment where Ni began to react with the inactive innocence-powered venom in his body. As Alan remembered it, he felt reluctant to comment about it, but it was no use, since everyone in the room knew that he was the host for the 14, he didn't know what to expect from talking about it, after all, he still haven't found a way to deal with him. I don't know, from a moment, everything was on my control, then suddenly my body got heavy and tiring. Before I know, I was already under her grasp. And as he spoke, the others were simply left in thought unable to describe the kind of feeling it was. Well. I still haven't got the chance to say thanks for saving me, so. Thank you, Kanda, Lena Lee, everyone. Thank you. Hearing those thoughts, everyone gave a small smile except for Kanda of course, who simply smirked. What you're saying? This is what friends are for, announced Rukia, we got your back buddy. Oh, speaking of which, you guys haven't told me yet. Just how did all of got into this place? About that. First, there was source of weird problem with the arc, began Shifu. A problem? Yeah. And then Shifu, along with Lena Lee and the others, explained about everything that happened at his absence. An unknown incident involving the arc began to happen and the Black Order's supervisor Kamui organized a specialized team to investigate the case. There, they have found monsters never seen before, a strange incomprehensible plane warping that destroys the area periodically before reshaping, and at least, some kind of mystical door located at the highest spot of that garden tower. Once that door opened, we began to see scenes of that village we were, said Lena Lee. That's when we saw you, added Johnny. It was too weird, I can't explain how exactly it happened but we saw you walking in that deserted street and get ambushed, followed Rukia. And, to see you losing to that woman. Muttered Rufa sad from remembering, I couldn't just see it anymore. Rufa. Alan really felt surprised to hear such story. Hell, just what exactly is happening to the world? Worse than that, it is still possible to return back. That what all of them wondered about it. Oi Kanda, have you tried to contact the Bok back? Yes, but it's futile, there is no response on the other side. Damn it, then our only way is to stay here. Then, standing up, Alan opened the side door and gazed at the moon outside. If there was another way, if could just go back, and with those thoughts clouding his mind of a while, memories of his childhood began to flow in. The song Mana taught him a long time ago echoed around as if it was real. Where he should go. What he should do. All these questions comes from Alan's struggle to understand the genuine path he chose. Right now, considering what he knows, there's nothing but a mess, Ni, Mana, and Cross Marion, just how these three men are connected? Before he could think something else about it, something happened. "Wah!" yelled Johnny, breaking his thoughts. The ground, and getting everyone in alert. They noticed it, the ground just in front of Alan began to shine in circles. What the dash? And then it happened. Once it was fully formed, on middle of it, they saw a huge number 0 imprinted on the ground. 0? Could it be? Then recognizing that pattern, it became clear what was going to happen. With the shine of these marks, fell from the sky a very familiar white shard, the Ark's gate. A miracle? A bless? Does it matter? God knows why it chose to hear the lyrics of the song from his mind just now. An Ark gate, here, he shouted, before forcefully running inside. Ah! Wait, Alan Kuhn. Che, that Moyasher. Currently on the Noah Ark. Arriving inside, Alan and the others found themselves before the destroyed ominous city. However, different from before, the sky was clear, there was no purple tone anywhere, and apparently the place was clean of the mysterious monsters Lena Lee spoke about. We are back," yelled Rukia, so relieved, "but how?" Alan went out to explore first. "We got to find a way back to our world, quickly, urg," but his body wasn't fully recovered yet and he stumbled on ground. Walker-san. Rufa and Shifu ran and helped him to get up, grabbing his shoulders. "Easy there, Alan." "Yeah, but we have to hurry, we may not have much time." "Please, Lena Lee, where is that door you spoke of?" "Ah. Right." And then, they went together towards the middle section of the city, where the huge tower awaits. After minutes walking on a safe path and crossing stairs, they finally arrived at the highest room, but seeing what was there, their hopes of returning home were slowly fading away. "The door is destroyed," shouted Alan. The mystical door that Lena Lee and the scientists found before was shattered to pieces, the shape was intact but shards of the wood was scattered around. "No, I can't be." Everyone around had concern in their faces, they were so close. "No, wait. Rufa, you said this door is powered by an energy, right?" spoke Alan with something in mind. "Yes, that's right. Where's the energy source?" "They came from those symbols on the ground," she replied, pointing the grounds, full of weird glyphs. During the plane swift, those symbols begin to glow an unknown energy that attracts the monsters. From there, the door simply opened on its own. "I see. Shame it's a mess now, so far nothing happened when we came here," commented Rukia, depressed, but as Alan thought about it, something sparked in his mind. "Not exactly. Huh. We still may have a chance." Hearing that, the hope came back with smiles on their faces. But how? "We might try to power it directly from input of the Ark," he spoke, raising questions. "I am the musician, so I have absolute control of the gates. If I just could get into the piano room, maybe I could order the Ark to force a way through this gate," he explained. In fact, even though he controls the gates with just lyrics in his mind, this gate seems to be an exclusive case. Alan guessed that since that it's part of the Ark itself, maybe it will listen to the song directly from the control module, aka piano. Then why the hell we're waiting for, let's go. And with that, as they left, Alan saw Kanda looking somewhat suspicious outside. "What's wrong, Kanda?" he asked. The said one just gave another stare and replied. "It's nothing." Unknown to the others, since the time they arrived in Siriidii, Kanda had the strange feeling of being observed. What it is, he doesn't know, but he stood in alert case it decides to reveal itself. Once they have found an intact random door, Alan played the lyrics in his mind again and mentally unlocked it, connecting to the objective. Inside there, our group was before a rather simply room. Since the Noah Ark is an artifact that defies the laws of logic, Rufa, Rukia, and the other scientists expected something more fantastic, like a movie of sci-fi or something. Instead, it was just a completely white room with a couch, 2 chairs, a mirror window, and more importantly, the white piano. This is the piano that controls the entire Ark. Now that's depressing. commented Rikii. What you were expecting, Rikii, mocked Shifu. Well, you know, weird machines, shiny amazing energy cores of unobtainium, a spacious room full of other cool things, and not just a single, piano thing. Right. I didn't knew you were fond of sci-fi. Nevertheless of that, Alan took a seat and prepared himself to play it. Okay, I will rebuild the ark back to what it was, and power up the gate. With that, the chords began to play, echoing the songs sung by a hyperspace woman. Find and play the 14 melody for more emphasis. Sashite boy wa namuri enaitsut. Ikizuku hai no naka no hano wa hitatsu futatsu tu. Okabu fukurami itoshia yuku hawa. Daichi enai tarunu ikuzen no yum. Jin no hitomi no yuragu yoru enai yumare okita kagayaku omi. Iku wi kuno tashitsuki ga. Ikutsu inori wa tsuchi hikeshitimo. Wateshi wa inori tsuzukuru. Maokaka no kodo ai. Tsuneda teni embrace wa. Ark, hear my song, hear my words, restore this place, and link gate I longing back to our world. And then, as the song reached on its CLMX, the shining sheet music that spiraled above the piano began to rise and obey its orders. The entire city began to shine in a white glow and the building slowly recovered back into the Mediterranean-like structures it once was. Be appealing. Praised Rufa, amazed along with the others. It was the first time they saw something like this before. But, unfortunately of them, Alan noticed something strange. After fully recovering the city, the floating sheet music above the piano began to darken in color, changing from white to pitch black, obviously meaning something bad. Strange. What's wrong, Alan-kun? The ark is not obeying, no, is more like, it can't obey. What you mean? Then seeking the source of the problem, Alan materialized a monitor over the wall to display where the mystical gate is. There they saw it. The gate was surrounded by the arc energy, but still, the gate itself wasn't restored. The gate, it cannot be repaired. And that meant one thing, they wouldn't be able to return back home with it. Why, muttered Lena Lee, but Alan kept in silence. It was obvious that he didn't know the answer. Che, how troublesome. Shouted Kanda, annoyed. What we going to do now? Asked Johnny. Thinking for a while, really their only choice was to go back to Soul Society and wait for things to happen. For now, let's just go back. Then, with no more words, Alan and the others simply left. There was nothing they could do to change things right now. Back on the 4th Division barracks, Siriidii. Taking a peek outside the gate, Alan felt relieved that no one noticed anything yet. They decided to keep the event in secret for themselves until they could fully trust what the Shinigami promised. Suspecting people isn't what he usually would do, but there was no other choice. Closing the gate, they dispersed and went to sleep. Tomorrow, a very special meeting was waiting for them to decide their next destination. On the next morning, when the sun rose, Alan and his company, fully recovered and dressed with their own kimono, the battle of yesterday obliterated pretty much everything they had worn, were escorted to another division barracks, which appears to be located near the mountainous center of the entire area. The 1st Division, that's where the one known as Captain Commander lives, one of the most proud places in all Siriidii. Just being assigned there is one of the greatest honor a Shinigami can have, but that's not the case for our fellow exorcists. As they walked through the hall, many of the other recruits around stared them with curiosity as the rumors about them spread. None of the things they saw there was familiar until they arrived on a certain door where they have meet Yoriichi once again. There you are. Oh, Yoriichi-san, greeted Alan. Is everyone here? She asked, receiving a nod. Okay, now listen, right now you guys are going to meet with a certain grumpy old man, but this said old man is the Captain Commander that governed Soul Society for thousands and thousands of generations, so I suggest showing some respect, she explained as Alan gave nod. Certainly, he, Kanda and Lena Lee could feel an immense pressure beyond the door, that made him gulp before entering. Well, don't worry too much about it, anything left I will cover it up, she assured. Then they proceeded inside the ominous room. before them, there were 2 rows of people split in 4 each side, which includes both Byakuya and Sui Fong they have faced, along with a bunch of other people they never seen before, all of them wearing the signature white captain cloak, except for one who held a pink flowered kimono above it. At the end of the room stood the man they were about to face. Genryosai Shigekuni Yamamoto, captain commander of the whole Godiai 13, looking at him, it was exactly as they said, an old man, bald but with a very long white beard and eyebrows covering the whole eyes. His head is full of scars and apparently he's holding an cane of sort. Despite his frail appearance, Alan could feel an insane pressure crushing him from just staring. You arrived, Shihoin Yoriichi. He spoke, I take these are the ones Urahara Kisuke appointed for. Hi, my name is Alan Walker, sir. He replied nervously. I see, then, let's begin, Sui Fong Taishu, report. Ho! Replying the call, the said woman made a step forward and began to explain. She gave a quick summary of the events. That happened yesterday, which includes Alan's appearance followed by Kanda and the others, their refusal to surrender resulting in the battle and the last, Yoriichi's interference. Yamamoto was visibly, or not, Alan can only tell by the amount of pressure he felt, annoyed. What you have to say in your behalf, kid, he demanded. Alan gave a small breath and took a step forward. He wanted to complain directly but in a way they would understand their innocence on the case. I won't deny what she just told so. I mean, we did, somehow entered Soul Society and made our way against her, but we never had any ill intentions, we were just defending ourselves over the injustice that was shown against us. Injustice? So you consider disrupting the balance of a district with your presence an injustice? He retorted. Yes, but we had no control of our circumstances, for some reason, we just happened to appear over there. Hearing that, the old man simply stared at Alan in doubt for a long time before one of the captains interferes. Yoriichi-san, called tall man with long white hair known as Yukitake Jushuru, captain of the 13th Division, I have a question, why does Urahara considers this boy and key to defeat our current enemy? Unfortunately, I don't know. She answered, startling them. What? He did said that he was one of the few people to ever enter interdimensional world but didn't told me why the people from there would be useful. Then why should we waste precious time with this unnecessary meeting, retorted the old man, causing the group to gasp for a second. What? Che, this old man is starting pss me off, thought Kanda holding himself to not make any aggression. Because our whole situation is related with their world, she spoke making Genryosai stop to think for a while. What you mean? What aizen has to do with this? Asked another captain, the one with the pink kimono, known as Shinsui Kiraku, member of the 1st Division alongside with the commander itself. As you already know, it is recorded that 110 years ago, albeit unknown to most, that Kisuke was the one who built the Hugyoku, crumbling orb, I'm correct? She began receiving a nod, and because of that, Aizen formulated a plan involving this object, resulting in his betrayal and our current state. Yes, we still are investigating what he is actually planning. That's the thing, the Hugyoku actually does not belong to our world, she revealed again, startling both captains. Alan and the others simply stood silent and listened, knowing nothing about it. What? Not from our world, shouted Yukitake. Yes, no matter where you search, there is no book, record or register informing the date or creation of it. According to him, the Hugyoku wasn't built, but found in another plane of existence parallel to our world. During his researches, he discovered its true origin and its limitless capabilities, so he sought a means to destroy it before it fell in wrong hands, but with no avail. Unfortunately, the material composing it proved to be completely invulnerable to all source of energy, leaving the only option to seal it and hide it somewhere, where no one could even think about it. Kuchiki Rukia, now things are making sense, commented Kiraku. Hearing such story, Alan began to compare a few things, an object from another plane of existence that somehow managed to get in this world, completely indestructible and capable of limitless potential that tempted someone within their ranks. Yeah, that's something very familiar. Excuse me. He spoke up, could it be that this Hogyoku is the heart we are searching for? That's certainly startling his friends, what he was up to. Alan-kun. Heart. Yeah, it's a long history but I'll explain. Using such opportunity, Alan began to explain the same thing he told Yoriichi. That they are exorcists, some source of Shinigami version of guardians explicitly chosen by a god deity to yield the only power that harms the threat of akumas. He also revealed that to completely save their world, they have to find an unique Zanpakuto, simply known as heart, that can control all other innocents, as they call it, to finish the job. To end this war, our only hope lies in the heart, the strongest of the innocents. With it, then all our problems could be solved, though I don't know how. Hearing his words, the captain commander began to notice the connections between the exorcists and Aizen's Hogyoku, something that Urahara wanted to reveal about it, but still, nothing is clear. They could be wrong in the end, maybe it's not what they are finding, maybe it from another strange dimension, who knows. Nevertheless of that, one thing is true, he can't just simply ignore the fact that they are here and that they did something. I see that you exorcists have some point, but this proves nothing. The fact still stands that you and your group interfered with the balance on Soul Society. Such atrocity will be unpunished. He spoke. What? Retorted Kanda stepping forward. Those words just now made Alan to enter in slight shock. He didn't know who to answer knowing that words wouldn't solve anything, but still, it's clear that facing them wasn't a viable option. Wait Kanda. Don't make anything stupid, he reacted pulling him back by the shoulder. Shut up, this meeting is bullshit, we're just losing time, he affirmed and worst of all, he was right, unfortunately, Alan couldn't simply let it go, he didn't know what would happen if they fought all of them, perhaps there was another way to deal with it peacefully. I said wait. We shall dash. Interesting. But before he could continue, another of Captain intervened. Since the beginning of the meeting, he was simply standing there on his spot, completely bored with the chat around, but once things got rough, a grin grew in his face as he stares at Kanda in bloodlust. Zaraki Kenpachi, captain of 11th Division, the most brutal and reckless strike force of all Seriidii. For appearance, he was a really tall man with black, oddly spiky hair. Kanda could also notice some minuscule bells attached to the tips of the spikes. That's one hell of hair he got there. Ignoring that weirdness, both his bandages and scars around the face shows that he's another battle-hardened warrior, his eye patch even proves this even more. Even so, Kanda wasn't intimidated by his appearance or the pressure of his power, he was merely holding the sheath of his katana, ready to strike at any time if needed. What? You're interesting, since you don't care anymore. Then there's no problem if we fight. I want to see the one who managed to hold off a captain, he finished, grabbing his blade. Kanda knew he was about to strike first, so he stood ready. Oi, hold it off will ya? But thankfully Kyoraku intervened by stepping between them, for Alan's relief, let us calm down, there's no need for this here. Shut up, you interfering, retorted Kenpachi annoyed. Surprisingly enough, Kanda was about to say the same thing to him at time. Kanda, calm down. We should avoid this situation if possible, spoke Alan trying to separate them. Che. Through he didn't want it, Kanda accepted his plea this time and backed off, unfortunately though, the same couldn't be said for the captains. Kenpachi was directly confronting with Kyoraku, threatening to strike him down if he doesn't walk away. Even though they are fellow captains in the same side, it looks like the Shinigami, I just discovered that this word is the same. For both plural and singular, also have their own inner problems within their ranks. Eventually, the commander was forced to clash his cane, and stare feverishly to make him stop. Moments later, Yukitake took a step forward and the meeting continued. Sute Chudano, I don't think those exorcists had any bad intentions at all, surely their presence here suggests some kind of doubtful circumstance to say, but if what Urahara's told us is true, then I believe they may help us, even their abilities are impressively formidable, he spoke in their defense. Exactly. For their confusion, Genryusai nodded and agreed with his thought. As I was speaking before. You exorcists defiled our world, and should be punished for your actions, that's for certain, but considering our own situation where we, the Godii 13, keepers of the balance, couldn't notice a single clue of what that man, Aizen, was thinking, it's a complete shame. Certainly I would never allow any of kind assistance from outsiders, but this time I'll make a single exception. And finishing his words, Alan and others, even both other friendly captains, felt really relieved at his decision. So, you will let us stay? He asked, receiving a nod. Alan turned around and enjoyed smiles as the situation has been dealt with, except for Kanda, but that's justified. Then, is there any objections? Demanded the old man to his subordinates. None of them made any complaint at all, most remained silent at time until a male voice spoke out. May I, Sutechu? It was a weird-looking captain with a face full of makeup between black and white, with a smile. They could see the golden teeth that matches with his golden eyes and the pharaoh-like headpiece he wears. It's strong to tell if the blue hair he has is his or is a complement of his headpiece at all. His name is Kuratsuchi Mayuri, captain of the 12th Division of Research and Technological Development Institute. Speak, allowed the old man. It's not from my nature to reveal secrets like this, but now that this is over I have a question for you, boy, he spoke, somewhat creeping the hell out of Alan. Hi, what is it, creepy? But even so, he calmed down and waited. Now that they're allies, there was nothing to be scared about, or at least he thought. What is this arc you kids talk about? He boldly asked, startling all of them. What the, how does he knows about that? Thought Alan, unable to answer. Che, I knew there was something. As stated before, during their reunion at the Ark's return, Kanda was the only one who felt an presence lurking around. Before he didn't knew what it was up to, as it didn't do anything other to observe them, but now it's clear that whoever it was there, it was only spying and collecting information. What you're talking about, Kuratsuchi Taishu? Asked the old man. Curious, isn't it? Apparently last night, I have tracked an unknown signal of energy matching the signatures of the Dainai incident. The coordinated pointed that the source came from the 4th Division's barracks. Hearing those words, every captain there became curious about it. The 4th Division. But that's the dash, spoke Kiraku interrupted. Exactly, that's where you and your group were spending the night yesterday. Curious to know why, I have sent Nimu to do some investigation and I discovered something really interesting. What was it? Asked Yukitake. Nothing, her signal suddenly disappeared in an instant, but I, brilliant as I am, discovered in sequence disrupting the original signal and was able to find her back, but no longer there on the barracks. What you mean? In a split second, her localization was transferred from the 4th Division to the laboratory where our cube is. More specifically speaking, she was inside of it, and as he spoke, Alan and the others could do nothing but listen. Inside of it? Humph. This is so frustrating. None of my brilliant devices could ever tell what was inside of that thing. There's a barrier that surrounds the cube made from a material similar to sekiseki, spirit-reducing stone, and simulates the same wave projection barrier that envelopes the Siriidii. So, for several hours, I was completely clueless until her original signal and location was restored, but blunt, now I understand it. A majestic city compressed in a time-space distorting place, controlled by an specific yet simple biometric control module, should I say, a piano composer. With this revelation, the commander faces Alan with fervor. What's the meaning of this? He demanded. Now there was no choice other than spill out. Yes. I will explain. Then giving a quick summary about the Ark and its functions, Alan explains to the Shinigami their reason for being trapped in this world. He explained what Lino Lee and the scientist found in their own investigation, as well as the mystical gate in that tower. When we accidentally found out that I still could control it, we secretly tried to find an way back home through the same gate, but it proved to be futile. I'm really sorry for hiding this, but we had no idea of what to expect today, neither of what do actually do, he explained, simply asking forgiveness. Yar, that's the quite secret you got there. spoke Kiraku, understanding their situation. That's expected. I guess, added Yukitake. Seriously, he didn't know what to say, but along with Kiraku, Alan still seems to be innocent on the case, and his actions is justified. The other captains and Yoriichi had their minor thoughts about it, but nothing too serious to comment about it. The old man though, this alone made him doubt even of what Kisuke was thinking about them being useful. Still. Whatever, I will be clear though, our own problems are now in your hands, your efforts will be required. If any of you ever poses another threat, even the slightest of it, be known that you all be hunted and punished. Is that clear? Hi. Then it's decided. From then on, you exorcist will be all known as substitute Shinigami, in direct servitude of the Yoriichi. Exactly tomorrow, you all will reinforce our front by joining Hitsugaya Taishu and the other Shinigami. You all will be briefed shortly. Now, this meeting is over, all dismissed, and with a clash of his cane on the ground, that long and scary meeting was finally over. With that, both sides now managed to discover a lot of things about each other, but even so, questions clouds the minds of our heroes. First one is obviously how to get back home. What's happening on the other side? What about the Noah? There were other mysteries as well. Who's this man named Aizen that the Shinigami so much talk about? What about this Hugyoku? Could it really be the heart they are so desperately searching for? God knows for now. Now that the deal between Exorcist and Shinigami has been made, Alan and his group can only wonder what's waiting for them tomorrow. Meanwhile, back on the Black Order's HQ. In meantime, while our fellow exorcists are dealing with the Shinigami, back on their own world, things went to chaos. The Black Orders was severely crippled and in state of constant alert, with the Ark unavailable and disappearance of two important exorcists on their side. The Order's arsenal against the Earl was limited and the hunt for remaining the Innocences became nearly obsolete. To deal with such situation, a strategic meeting has been called for a discussion on the case. Over in Large Hall, the supervisors, Kamui, Bach, Rennie Epstein and several others, and the generals, Fuwatai Claude 9 and Winter Sokolo, from all the world were reunited together around a table. Most were chatting and muttering to each other about the incidents around, sharing the same concerns about what the future awaits for them right now. But then, after several minutes waiting, the silence soon owned as the man they were waiting arrived on the room, Malcolm C. Leverrier, an inspector sent by the Central to overwatch the European branch months ago. Said Central is a special subsection of the Vatican, designed to monitor and coordinate the entire order per instructions of the Pope itself. Even through their organization as a whole has the objective of freeing the world from the threat Akuma presents. The Black Order itself is rather infamous when it's about morality. Few know the secret of the terrible experiments it was once done here. Akuma genetic engineering, experience with fallen ones. Many things suggests that the Order isn't so idealistic as the many may think. They did everything to bring forth any kind of advantage on their side no matter the cost. With that known, many from today see the Central with disgust and distrust to a point they could rebel at any moment. Still, unfortunately, there's a reason why they work together, a common enemy. Even if someone tries to argue about it, the Central is allowed to dispose any threat in any way they want and bring the peace back shortly. It doesn't matter what all of them might think of it right now. Once Leverrier sat down on his place, followed by its assistant, it began. Very well, report, and then, his female, or its male. Can't tell the difference on the manga. Assistant began to relate the events previously stated. Along with that, she also announced an interesting incident. Days ago, an immigration of global scale began to happen in almost every country around the world. The report tells that mass of people suddenly decided to migrate to somewhere, only to completely disappear to no longer be seen. Despite being simple and irrelevant, the odds make it look way too suspicious. The Order sent finders to investigate the case by questioning the local people about it, only to receive the same result. Almost every witness said that the suspects simply wanted to travel somewhere, no definitive reason or destination confirmed. With that known, it becomes easy to guess that those people are most likely Akuma who were infiltrated among the others as the Earl planned something. Good job. As you can see, this is a serious problem. In just a few days, the enemy managed to get upper hand on the battlefield and cripple our forces on our own side. This is unacceptable. If we are supposed to stand a chance in this war, we must take immediate action, he spoke with an angry gaze and stern voice. While everyone else had their own thoughts, none could think anything relevant to say, so the silence remained. First, we must prepare countermeasures. The enemy began to mobilize his army, we must prepare for an possible attack soon. Second, we must investigate the source of the problem, Alan Walker, and as soon as they heard that name, Bach was the first stand up and question. What? What you mean by that? He yelled. Kamui, who was at his side, also twitched about hearing that, but he avoided to react in the same way. He already knew at moment that this would happen one day. He is the reason we're now in this state, replied Leverrier. The other members at the meeting began to whisper themselves about it in wonder. You already know this. Alan Walker is the only person that could potentially sabotage the Arkansas working for the enemy. He was the one who prepared a trap to kidnap and exterminate anyone who entered that place, he announced, making Bach even angrier. You can't judge someone like that. Walker wouldn't do anything like this. So you reject what happened? The fact that he disobeyed orders. The fact that he killed an officer, more specifically, my assistant, and escaped with the Noah months ago, retorted Leverrier, trying to look like the victim in anger. That's not the case, Inspector, intervened Kamui with a serious face. We all feel sorry for what happened to Howard Link that day, but just like Supervisor Bach said, this is wrong. Truly, we know that Alan Cohen has done, but this time, it's different. We have no proof that he is the one who is behind this, and I believe you aren't seeing things clearly. You still are going to defend him, Supervisor? He taunted as they shared deep stares to each other. Kamui was tense. After supposedly losing his sister, he just couldn't calm down. He had faith that Alan would never harm the Order, a place he considered as a home. He knew that by angering the Central, his branch will be on trouble, but still, it was too much. He remained sharp as both argued each other. Fortunately, before that could go any further, one of the generals stood up and intervened. Can't we just leave this for later? Spoke Phua Tidal, calming the situation. We both know something bad happened, okay? I don't think this is the time for disagreement. Shouldn't we focus on something more importantly? Then, as he said, both of them thought for a while and dropped their gazes. Indeed, we have more important matters to attend, commented Leverrier. Then, for at least 10 minutes, the meeting was focused on simply dealing with the problem. Both branches of Americas were given orders to develop a more efficient mechanism to suppress the enemy, while the European and Asian ones team up to investigate the ARC's incident. The remaining sectors will provide any intel relating to the mass immigration around. In time, the meeting was coming to an end. As everyone else left the room, Kamui simply stood there thinking about his sister and nothing else. Even since Lena Lee finally accepted her duty as an exorcist months ago, he felt more and more unable to handle the dangers they face each day. Every time she went to a mission, he could do nothing but wait and pray, hoping that she would return back safely at his hands while abominations are out there killing innocents. It always made him feel bad, helpless and incapable to straighten things up, while the rest of the Order struggles against the odds. And now, she's gone again. Bach, who was at his side, could see the concern of his friend. Don't worry, Kamui, he spoke but got no response. Didn't I tell you? She brought down the strongest of them. I'm sure she will be back soon enough. Then, finishing the speech, Bach left him alone, shaking his hand. He was feeling the same as him, as well as angry due being unable to act. Hearing those words, Kamui remained silent. At least it was good to know there's people backing him up, and that made him thought, Lena Lee isn't alone. Kanda, Johnny, the Asian trio, even possibly Alan as well is at her side. Together they stood. It happened before, so why it would change it now? Once realizing that, a spark of hope woke. It wasn't time to mourn or worry. He had to do something. After all, his sister is fighting somewhere. Determined, he takes a breath and stand up to meet with the others back to work so that once she returns, he can feel proud. Meanwhile, at the laboratory, while most of the scientists and workers around went to lunch, since it was midday, the area around the laboratory was nearly empty, save for the little guards from the Crow Special Forces. They were ordered to prevent any kind contact from anyone with the Ark itself except for the ones responsible for the investigation. As they talk each other about how Le Verrier can be scary sometimes, they noticed a presence lurking around in form of simple steps. "Who's there?" the first demanded, but got no answer other than making the presence to stop walking, revealing itself in the corridor. For their surprise, it was just a man, a cardinal no less. Both guys panicked for a bit in surprise but quickly regained their posture. "Orders are orders." "Sorry sir, but this area is interdicted," he spoke. The cardinal gave a peek behind the guard and saw the Ark shard, which for some reason became pitch black. "Is that the entrance for the Ark?" he asked, pointing at the black gate. The guards looked to each other uneasy but answered anyway. "Yes it is, but now I have to ask you to leave." "I see, then I ask you to forgive me, I never wanted to resort into this." Then once he finished the speech, some kind of feather lances appeared out of nowhere and impaled the first guard away. Wah, eh? An enemy. Once he saw that, the other guard took distance by rolling away before throwing strips of paper, Shirbariba dash, binding Win, but before he could finish the spell, his entire body was covered by Apocryphosa's wings in a split second. Deadly as it seems, there was no wound or BLD, instead, the damage done by him caused a strange effect on the guards. Feathers were literally popping out of their eyes and ears in form of energy. "Shoo, sleep well, fighting no longer will be necessary," spoke Apocryphos, inserting fake memories with his power to make them sleep. "That's how he handles the things out in the name of the heart. Even though he's bizarre in both appearance and behavior, he's rather benevolent and zealous, not killing anyone unless the said heart demands." Unknown to him however, over the shadows of a higher ground, another presence was sneaking around. Howard Link, the dead subordinate of the Central Inspector Le Verrier, the blonde-haired man who was supposedly assassinated by Alan Walker months ago. After recovering from mortal wounds, thanks to Mstr Zoo, he once again was told to search and investigate Alan in order to make contact with the 14 Noah, a mission he never thought he would receive. Ignore Alan. He strayed from Noah's hands and left alone in the Ark. He probably went to find a method to stop the awakening of the 14. He is currently alone, and requires help. He and the 14. Cross Marion made a secret pact with me. He told everything. The 14 isn't just any old Noah, he's the crevasse resulting from the Holy War. In order to win, we must use this to our advantage to turn the tide. However, there are others in the Central with plans for him, that's why I exiled Walker from the church. My Black Wings, your mission is to protect the 14 from any other person. Earn his trust, become his ally, and if anything should happen, never leave his side. Remember, instead of being manipulated by large hands of the Holy War, we humans will hold the fate of the world. And that was the words of his Mstr before departing. He no longer can return back, becoming himself as Le Verrier personal Crow agent, a shock indeed, but still reasonable. Link knows that Alan could never harm him like that. Something else happened, someone else was there, he feels it, but even so, he can't just remember who. There was nothing but void clouding his mind. Nevertheless of that, with Alan now missing, Link filled Le Verrier with the events that happened in his investigation on Italy, confirming his doubts about the cardinals of the church. So, knowing that, he received orders to search him on the place he would possibly be, the Ark. To incapacitate 2 agents so easy, he's not human, thought him observing the cardinal and knocking out the guards. However, since he's no longer bound to them, he took advantage of the situation and blinked directly to the gate. It was his chance. Wherever Alan has gone, he had to find him at all costs. With no other words, he simply disappeared inside, not knowing the dread danger that waits. Back on Soul Society. As the day was about to arrive on that morning, Alan could feel the warm shine crossing his face, but, at same time, something heavy crushed his body. It felt like he was being completely pressed on the ground. Opening his eyes and looking around, he gasped as he was no longer on his room in Soul Society. Instead, it was a rather familiar abandoned building with a design similar. if not the same, as the Black Order HQ itself. However, on the room he was, most the walls and the roof were completely broken. Alan could gaze outside and see the sinister crescent moon with a witch grin imprinted on it. The sky was dark red, somewhat like BLD, and the forest is full of grey dead trees everywhere. Either this place was haunted or abandoned, he didn't know. This place, where? He wondered before noticing the wings on his back. Those wings, no, it can't be. Yes it can, spoke the deep and creepy voice from behind. Quickly looking at his back he saw a throne chair, the same one where he was trapped by chains from before. You! He called, observing the grinning shadow. Hello my nephew, have you missed me? Greeted Ni, who was chained on it. His body was completely different from the first time Alan saw him on his mind. It wasn't the man dressing in white from before, instead it was an humanoid monster burning in black flames. The only thing Alan recognizes is the face, the grinning face that stalks his shadow on every reflective surface he goes. In other words, it is the musician previous form. Wah, what is this? Spoke Alan, scared. It has been a while since he didn't saw him like that. Oh this? You should have known already, he answered, confusing him. That DMN innocence destroyed my body and locked me here to suffer. Say, do you know how it feels to be burned alive for one entire day? Innocence? Muttered Alan before recalling the fight he had with Soifan 2 days ago. He almost met death that time, especially since pain from her power brought Ni out. It was miracle for him to survive through pure will alone and reverse the effect at last second. Whatever, it wasn't your fault anyway, affirmed Ni, sighing. Hearing that, Alan remained confused. It's strong sometimes to tell what the Noah was thinking. His mind is like a twisted puzzle, with a mysterious origin underneath. Sometimes Ni is a very kind person to him at times, showing to care and forgiving even on pain. But still, whatever the reason why, Alan knows one thing for sure. He wants to take over his body for his own mad quest. If that's so, why you have brought me here? He asked. Well, like I said before, I got something on mind, and at same time, the area around the chair was instantly surrounded by shadows, and I need you to stay put for it, nothing personal. Then, with a sinister smile, the shadows lunged at Alan and subdued his body, lifting it as if their hands suffocating him. It was too fast, he couldn't even react in time. Alan gasped for life as he futilely tried to push the shadows off with no success. Stop, he muttered in agony. I'm sorry but I can't, all of this stuff of New World wasn't in my plans, retorted Ni in a serious expression, tightening the hold over his neck. Once Alan was about to be knocked out of consciousness, the chains wrapping the Noah on the chair began to glow in a green light. A second later, it began to exorcise the dark matter, causing pain over him, disrupting the control of the shadows. Arg! Damn it! He yelled mentally, cursing the presence arriving nearby. Leave him, demanded a calm yet gentle female voice from nowhere. The shadows slowly backed off and dropped a semi-conscious Alan on ground, who could barely see the humanoid being floating near Ni's body. Che! So you've returned, innocence, commented him with a straight anger due the interruption before sighing in defeat. As Alan faded out, everything around began to shine in a bright light. There he saw it, the very silver mask in middle of a white hooded cloak of his innocence power, along with a blurry female person surrounding his body. Who is it? What is it? He didn't know. A peaceful feeling was engulfing his conscience, and before he could even think about it, everything faded into nothingness. Don't worry, it will be all right. Back into the true soul society. Moments later, Alan eventually found himself awakened back into the real world. Seconds later, all his memories began to clash into his mind. Aya! He yelled, jumping up and quickly reaching for the neck in panic. His body was covered in sweat, painting strong, the throat was really dry and the hands couldn't stop shaking, but fortunately, everything was in order. What was that? He thought, remembering lively what happened on that nightmare. It felt too real. Ni almost took him in an ambush after recovering the wounds from the previous fight, just a little chat and out of nowhere he soon was fighting for his life. Each time he thought about it, fear clouded his mind, to think that every day that passed there's a chance that some abomination could take your body and harm your loved ones. If wasn't for that mysterious woman, it would over for him. After calming down, he shakes off the thought and stands up relatively easy. The good of side off all this is that he could get some sleep, allowing his body to recover its strength. Noticing Tim Canpy, who looked extremely worried, Alan gave a small smile. "Don't worry, I'm not gone yet." While it wasn't that convincing, the little golem cheered a bit and sat down on his head. "Alan Cohen, you're awake," spoke Lena Lee's voice outside the room. "Yeah, I just woke up, need something," he answered, dressing his kimono and stretching the body a bit toward tiredness. "No, I just came to check in, it's pretty late you know." "Eh? Is that so? Well, hang on, I'm coming," and then, finishing up there, they head out together to eat something and then meet with the others. Like she said, it was indeed late, everyone else was already up and ready to go while he was the last, and also, as they were walking, Lena Lee noticed that he was somewhat more pale than normal. She could briefly notice the cold presence on his shadow before dissipating quickly. "What's wrong?" he asked, noticing the gaze. Lena Lee blushed a bit and quickly turned away in embarrassment, forgetting everything else. "It's nothing," she retorted, leaving him confused. Alan tried to look back, but it seems that she was somewhat ignoring him. Either way, he eventually ignored. That felt odd. Usually there's no problem for her to look face to face with him like that, but for some reason, it was embarrassing. Her heart started to beat quicker, building anxiety and leaving her uncomfortable. While Alan devoured the tons and tons of food with ease, Lena Lee stood aside quiet, looking at the table like a shy girl. She couldn't think of anything to speak out and was merely observing him. Why this is happening? Why now? Does it is because they were apart for so long? These questions clouded her mind until Alan broke off her thoughts as they were done. In meantime, on the living room, Kanda was outside training alone by swngng his blade, as well as paying attention to the surroundings. The whole ruckus with Ark yesterday is fault of that weird captain and his spy, so he didn't want anything similar to happen again. Rikiai, Shifu, Rufa and Johnny were around the table chatting together. They took some time to know each other. Johnny felt really interested in the Asian branch. While their jobs are the same, it felt good to know that not only him wants to die after constant days awake in projects. The other three also wondered about the shenanigans done to Kamui with those excuses to skip work. Anyway, it felt really fun to make friends like these, especially in harsh times away from home. Once the couple got there, Kanda merely gave off a stare, clearly telling, "You're late," to him, but spoke nothing. The others greeted as usual, but Rufa in special grew an intense smile when she saw Alan coming. Her mind began to fantasy herself at his side holding hands while they cross a shiny garden before serving him some lunch, only for Lena Lee to break it off with her presence behind as they arrive inside. Poor Rufa. Now that they were together, it didn't took too long before they were contacted. Kuraku and Yukitake, the friendly captains that defended them, appeared and greeted themselves in. They took the group to a certain place nearby the mountain, following a long street until to the rather familiar gate. "There we are, the Senkaman, World PNTRTN gate," finally, announced the lazy captain. Alan and the others were perplexed by the sight of it. It was identical to the one they have on the Ark, except for the lack of glyphs on the ground. "What a hell! Isn't this the gate we came from?" yelled Rikiai in confusion. "Huh? Are you sure?" asked Yukitake, rather curious. Knowing what Alan once explained about how their group ended here, it was easy for him to guess that it was an Senkaman inside the cube that was disrupted the flow of time and space, so he thought about investigating further when things calm a bit. "Yes, it looks like the same one on the Ark," replied Alan, inspecting it. "Is there a chance that we could return back home on it?" asked Rufa in hope, but before the captain could even speak. "No," male voice from behind answered it. Quickly turning around, they saw no one except for a common black cat, leaving them confused as they searched the source. "And cat," muttered Johnny. "Oh, Yoriichi-san, you came," greeted Yukitake. "We were about to take them soon." "Eh? Yoriichi-san," startled Alan, surprised before staring feverishly along with Kanda. "What? Is there anything wrong with my form? She retorted, but still do the male voice. It was strong to tell what she was anymore. Oh, nothing, I just remembered a few things. He spoke, recalling his previous encounters with a certain Noah that could take any form she wanted and mess people up, infiltrating them, and whole base was once lost because of it. At same time, those memories made Alan instantly remember, the Earl, Noah, Akuma, they're still out there looking for his skin. If Kanda and the other made it in this world, then the same can be done by them. That alone brought back the paranoia he had days ago. Is not like I had any choice. Soifan is just DMN annoying sometimes, mentioned Yoriichi, sighing. While she was there, Soifan couldn't stop bugging her from training, serving something, or even staying together, much like a fangirl, plus the fact she got a bit stronger. It was strong to lose her on the normal form. Alan Cohen, called Lena Lee, breaking his thoughts. She noticed him shaking a bit and felt worried. What is it? You okay? You're shaking. Oh. Nothing, it's nothing. And noticing that, Kanda stood in alert. Something was off. He could feel a sinister presence on Alan, the same cold presence in Noah. That made him remember his purpose for returning to the Order. After everything Alan has done, he knew that nothing he did would ever repay the favor. Being a nice guy wasn't his style, so instead, he decided to take the weights off to himself and suffer the entire burden, continuing to be what he is and helping when needed. The moment Alan loses, Kanda swore that he would kill him in order to save his life. Ironic as it seems, it was for the best. He would save people if needed, he would face the odds in his place, and he would do anything so that he wouldn't resort into this. That's why he needed someone in his place to save Alan from oblivion than Noah deserves. This gate is fixed, it doesn't connect to anywhere other than Soul Society or the real world, explained Yukitake before noticing Shifu raising a hand. Ah, sorry. Did I hear you say, real world? He spoke not so confused like the others. It wasn't so surprising to hear that considering the things they have seen until now. Even so, that needed some explanation. Yes, the Soul Society is usually what the many call heaven. It is the place where souls from the living world go when they die. Here they're spread out between the districts as their behavior is known. Those who are pure heartless don't even get a chance to step here and go directly to hell, a fate far worse than anything you can imagine. As he spoke, Alan and the other wondered, if afterlife here is like this, how much different it is on their own dimension. It was kinda strong to imagine with what they knew, innocences, holy war and fallen ones. Alan on other hand knew that things are complicated than that. Just the name Apocryphos is enough to tell that SHT is serious back on their world. What about us? We came from another place, so, are we, marked as dead? Asked Johnny. No, there are a few exceptions, replied Kiraku. Being on Soul Society doesn't exactly mean you're dead, your bodies were simply transformed into Raisher, added Yoriichi. Solid matter doesn't exist here, everything is made from pure energy, the sky, the earth, everything. So, once you cross the gate, everything will be the same as it was before, nothing will change. So what we're waiting for? Let's do it. Spoke Rikiai, determined despite knowing he wouldn't be able to do much to help. Ah, wait. All of you take these. Yukitake proceeded to give Alan, Lena Lee, and Kanda some kind of pentagon badge marked with a skull. What are these? It's your licenses as substitute Shinigami. It's known that all those who the Seriidii consider useful as Shinigami should receive one of these. I don't know if it will be necessary, but it helps us track you better. Kanda felt uneasy when he spoke about tracking, not that he will complain, but still, it is annoying. What about us? Asked Rufa. None of the scientists got a badge yet and the reason is rather obvious. Oh. Can you fight Ojo-san? That's, no, Rufa didn't like that, confess that, but it was the truth. In a dare situation, she and the other scientists most certainly wouldn't be able to something about it, forcing exorcists to risk themselves save them. Despite knowing that the Captain Commander refused to take normal people like that, should anything happen, it's Alan's own responsibility to keep them safe. Then you don't need it, your friends probably will keep you safe. Whatever, we got to go, make sure you all follow me and look straight, things will get rough from here, ordered Yoriichi as they're about to leave, inside. Good luck out there, take care of yourselves. Once they were done, the group finally disappeared inside of it. Yukite could do nothing but feel worried. Great danger waits in the other side of this world and God knows what will happen when the war begins, but still, there's nothing that could be done. Right now, the only thing he should do is to have faith. Oh. Now I record, shouldn't we have explained them about the Dainai world, asked Kiraku remembering the certain catch in there. Upon hearing that, Yukite froze up before sweating. SHT. I forgot, he thought deadpanned. This is bad. And them, sighing in disappointment, they merely leave the area hoping that nothing back happens afterwards. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Shadow BR2 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.